Christy from Cards by Christine here with you on a Tuesday for our Loveliest Wishes kit class. So we are at the beginning of April. We are actually exactly halfway through, but this is the first kit class for April. So this is the first of 3. This month they released 3 kits. So you'll be seeing me the next 3 Tuesdays with kits for our April 2025 Stampin' Up! Kits collection. So, Loveliest Wishes is what we're kicking off with today. I don't even know what it looks like. I mean, I do because I know I made the cover photo and I know I spelled the word loveliest wrong. But other than that, I'm not sure what I'm getting myself into. But I am excited to find out. So, let's find the video so I can follow along with comments. Sorry about the delay this morning. Was having some obscure technology issues that we don't typically have, so I don't know what that was all about. So I guess I'm hopeful that this is working correctly because I'm not finding it right now. Oh, there it is. Okay. Everything's not quite working how it's supposed to this Tuesday morning. So, hello to Susan and Carol. Thank you both for joining. We've got lots to go over today. So, April 15th means it's tax day, which is no fun. But also, today is the day that Stampin' Up's ordering platform is changing. So if you are trying to place an order today, there is somewhat of a 8 or so hour lockdown where the systems are transitioning, so you will not be able to place an order. And then when everything comes back, it's all going to be different. Hello, Karen. So we used to function on a host code system where you would pick Christine as your demonstrator, you'd pick your items, and then as you're checking out, you would make sure either that you are following the link that had the host code embedded in it, or you were putting the host code into your checkout. That is all going away. Hello, Brenda. Thank you so much for joining. And now we are going to be having a much more simplified platform, which is fantastic, but change can be hard, so bear with us as all of this changes. Basically, from here, again, you need to make sure, in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, that Chris is designated as your demonstrator, and then you also need to make sure that you're logged in. So, in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, it either says login or, in my case, hello Kelly or hello whomever you are. And then as you order, you will be earning rewards on every order you place that's more than $20. So it's not quite the same, whereas in the past you had to be part of either a workshop or a demonstrator order or whatever and use the host code and all that good stuff. Now it's just you are earning rewards on every order that you place, as long as it's more than $20. And then those rewards will be able to be used on future purchases. So again, I know this is going to be a bit of a transition, and there might be some questions and concerns in the meantime. Of course, don't hesitate to reach out. We're more than happy to help you. You will also notice from here on out, we've got new placards on our work screens because we don't have the host code. We used to have a little spot here that said the host code is, and then Chris would always write it in. So to order, you're going to stampinup.com, and to earn free classes, make sure you're shopping with Christine Bertram. And there are a couple Christines. Well, I'm sure there's a ton of Christines. And when you search Bertram, at least when I searched Bertram, and mind you, I searched Bertram from right here in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, and the first person that I searched Christine Bertram. Like, let's be honest. I was word for word what I was searching for. And Chris was not the first demonstrator that showed up. It was someone from Bertram, Texas. So just be very careful, especially if you are a newer shopper, or all of this is new and confusing to everyone. But like, if this is not something you're very used to, just try to double and triple check. Make sure you're shopping with the right person. So it's Christine Bertram, Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. And then you're logged into your account. And like I said, all of this shall be available after the website refreshes, which is going to take over a substantial part of today. So, hey, you can work on your taxes in the meantime. So anyways, yes. And just going to lighten the mood just a smidge. I am just riding on a high. Yesterday was my son's 5th birthday. So it's crazy how the years fly. For those of you that are very good at math, you can determine that he was born right in the beginning of the pandemic. So he is just a different breed. He is a lovely boy, but he has a little kick to him. So we got to celebrate him yesterday. It was great. This is his first year in school, so he's in 4K right now. I teach at their school, so I got to kick off the morning with him in Phy Ed class, and it was great. It was a fantastic day. I'm exhausted because this past weekend we had his birthday party, and I invited his preschool class, which is 3K and 4K, so that was 20 kids, and he also wanted his brother's class invited because he's very close with a lot of his brother's friends. So we didn't have everybody, but there were still probably about 20 kids there, and so it was it was a lot. And then we followed it by going to the museum, the children's museum that I used to work at. This is the first Easter that I'm not there, and last Easter we took the boys, and they loved the baby chicks that were there. So my son, for the last couple of weeks, was saying how he really wants to go to the museum and see the baby chicks. It's like, oh no, that's birthday party day. So we did the birthday party in the morning and the chicks in the afternoon, and then I worked on Sunday, a good chunk of Sunday, on cutting rectangles for the DSP sampler, and then yesterday I had Phy Ed. So I am just like, but I am here. I am excited to be doing this kit. So let's, without further ado, flip her down and see what we have in store today for the Loveliest Wishes. Also, water break. Okay. So, these embellishments are my favorite. They've started to come out with a bunch more colors and sizes and all that differentiation of them. But I just love the druzy looking or the like glitter filled embellishments. So off to a great start already just with the embellishments. I am seeing a lot of white here, so now I'm remembering, having made the cover photo, that this is a basically neutral kit, which I also really love. So thank you, Carol. It was, oh man, kids' birthdays are just so much fun. He also had a birthday twin yesterday. We had an 8th grader whose birthday was yesterday, which means it was his golden birthday. So I took Jake upstairs to the middle school and delivered a birthday treat to his birthday buddy, and it was just really cool. The joy and awe on the face of a preschooler going up to an 8th grader. Oh man, it was absolutely adorable. Okay, so we have a square with some gold foil on it. It looks like, so this is textured. I don't know if it's like a watercolor paper or just textured. More, I'm wondering, not all of this. So then our next rectangle is also a textured cardstock. Our envelopes are textured. Now it looks like we have 2 cards that are going to be our traditional cards and then one that's a square. Now don't quote me on this. Oh, maybe it's not a square. This envelope is, yeah, it is a square. Okay, so don't quote me on this, but if you are mailing this card, potentially be careful with it, because I seem to remember when I was doing wedding invitations that square cards, I think, require different postage or extra postage. So if this square card is something that you are not hand delivering, maybe someone in here knows and could comment, but always just maybe double check with the post office to make sure that your card gets where you want it to go. Okay, then we have some card bases. Now these card bases are not textured. So I started thinking everything was textured, but it's not. So we've got 6 of the white card bases of a standard size. Then we have all sorts of different foil sentiments in a variety of different languages. It is more postage. Okay, so public service announcement. 1 set of cards, so 3 of the cards in this kit are squares. So just be certain that you are properly posting them. Okay, so I'm going to take just a minute here to carefully spot and punch out the English sentiments. Man, every time I get one of these, it makes me really want to make friends with people from other countries who could utilize all of the extra sentiments that we don't need. Good morning, Rosalind. Thank you so much for joining. Okay. All right, so I think that is all of the English on here. Okay, then we have our square card base. Ooh, vellum. All right, so we've got some vellum foliage. And then we have some printed vellum. That's nice. Looks like some florals with maybe like a peach pie color scheme. Oh, thank you. According to the internet, a square envelope will cost $1.19. So that is very helpful information. Another thing about squares, I think, I've done this before, I don't know that anything has changed, you can just put them in a larger standard envelope, like a 5x7 envelope, that's called an A7 envelope, and then it goes with a normal stamp. Now I don't know that everyone has A7 envelopes just on hand, but that's something that you could do as well. Okay, so there are our vellum pieces. Then we have a little tissue separator and then some more pieces. These are just printed elements. Go ahead and punch all of them out. Ooh, we've got a couple, the daisies have gold foil on the center. And then yes, I'm guessing this is, and we'll get to this when we get to the instructions, but I'm guessing this is peach pie and soft seafoam. And then of course, white and gold. Always try to be nice and careful when I'm punching out these laser cuts. Laser cut elements seem to have become quite a staple in our kits collection. Really helps to elevate the cards, especially when there isn't stamping involved. A lot of the elements are pre-printed and already lasered out for you, so that's great. Ooh, such a skinny little stem. I don't want to tear it. You're right about sending it in a larger envelope. Thank you so much. Connie either works at a post office or is very knowledgeable about what we need to do here with our non-traditional envelopes. So I really appreciate it, Connie. Thank you so much for helping everyone out with your commentary. See, I think the thing with putting a square in a larger envelope is there's really no way for them to know that it's a smaller card in there. And then it's able to go through the postage machine. And that is what causes the difference is if it needs to be hand canceled, well, then that's what's costing more money. And I guess it is my understanding that a square envelope or a square card needs to be hand canceled. So that's what we've got going on. I send these cards a lot. Well, thank you so much, Connie. I very, very much appreciate it. Okay, so Loveliest Wishes Kit. We are going to be making 3 each of 3 different card designs. The kit components contain supplies for 9 cards and 9 envelopes. And the coordinating Stampin' Up! Colors, oh, I was wrong. We've got petal pink, soft seafoam, gold, and white. So earlier I had referenced peach pie. That is inaccurate. I see it now. This is petal pink, not peach pie. All right, so let's get started. Our first card is the infamous square card that we have been talking so much about. So we have our square card base. Go ahead, bring in your bone folder and burnish the card base. Now, another thing that you could do if you are intimidated by the square, you don't necessarily want to mess with additional postage or getting different size envelopes, you could always take the elements that are from this card and redesign it into a standard card. We are not going to do that, but that is an idea if you want to avoid the issue at all costs. All right, then we are going to be bringing in our square piece that has the gold specklings on it. These pieces have all of the gold is kind of stuck down on the right side and more towards the bottom. So that is how you want to make sure your piece is positioned. Then we're going to bring in our elements. And step number 2 right away says to put this on the card base with the dimensionals behind. But I am going to challenge that. I'm going to skip step 2. I'm going to decorate these front panels and then stick it onto the card. That is your prerogative, whether you want to follow me or do it a different way. But I would rather have just the card mat fully decorated before I put it on. Okay, so we are starting with this vellum piece, and that is going to get stuck right. So there's kind of like a couple of voids. So there's one stray little gold fleck in the middle, but this piece covers that area, and then all of the gold dots are kind of positioned around it. Hello, Polly. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, so then how to adhere this, it is the suggestion of our instructions that we go ahead and put 2 glue dots behind this, and I actually have these set up upside down. I don't think it necessarily matters, but we definitely are here to follow the instructions. Okay, so go ahead and take your vellum, and it appears as though we are putting 2 glue dots in the middle of the piece, but then a little bit off to, so centered top and bottom, and then one right in the middle, and then one off to the right of that. So that's where we're gonna put our glue dots. Everything you need to make these cards is included in the kit. And then we're going to stick this down with the corner of that piece of vellum straight off of the topmost gold dot. And this is why I typically don't use glue dots. I like liquid glue. Now I know this is vellum, although it is quite a thick vellum. With liquid glue, I have some wiggle room. So anyways, we got that down good enough. I'm gonna go ahead and do that for the other 2. And then we want to take the backing off. Okay. And stick these down as well. Okay, so that is step number 3. Then we move on to step number 4, which is happy and birthday. So birthday is going to get stuck using glue dots, and then dimensionals are on the happy. So that's gonna go down here-ish. So I think I'm going to stick the happy down first and then the birthday once the happy is situated. So let's bring in our dimensionals. First one's always the hardest to get out. So we're going to put dimensionals all over the back of this thing. Got it on the H, the middle P, and the top and bottom of the Y. Two done. Okay. Move those out of the way for now. go ahead and grab the dimensional backs off. All right, then the happy is going to be positioned just trying really hard not to make it uneven. Especially because it's an italic font, so it's bound to look like it's traveling up or down. Okay, that is going to be my best attempt to make it straight. All right. So when you have the happy stuck, the top of the H is going to be leaning towards this dot right here. The bottom of the H is going to be nestled by these dots, and then the P's. So like it's really very thoughtfully arranged that these pieces are not covering up any of the gold dots, and they're really helping you to place the other pieces so that it is properly aligned. Beautiful. All right, then we have birthday, and we are going to flip these over and throw some glue dots, 2 of them, on the back. But now this is these strips that say birthday are quite thin, and the glue dots are, I don't want to say large, but kind of large, so you want to be very careful when you're placing them to make sure that they're not hanging off of the banner. An alternative would be, okay, so now when we flip this over, I think that'll be okay. No, it looks like it's in this area. So not quite sure that my first glue dot, actually I'm pretty certain my first glue dot is not going to hit. So I'm gonna, we'll replace that one. So now I'm gonna go ahead and stick this first one down right away, and then I'm going to give you some tips on how to not do what I just did. Okay, so it appears as though the placement on birthday, the edge of the box kind of overlaps the descender, the like thing that falls down of the Y, and then the birthday, the far left section, is just beneath the H. And of course, you're just trying to place it as straight as you can. So when you flip your sentiment over, you want to make sure that your first glue dot is kind of behind this R, which means you want to place this one here-ish. The other one doesn't so much matter because it's going to fall within the realm of this whole big Y. So it's just that first one that really you need to be careful with its placement. Somewhere there-ish. And then we have one more. These tiny little adhesives sometimes can be a little bit of a challenge to work with. Okay, so happy birthday. And now we have to go back to step 2, which was putting dimensionals behind this to pop it up on the card base. The suggestion here is all 4 corners, and then we are putting bumped in a little bit down the middle. Okay, so you can go ahead and do that. Then this card is intended to open with the spine on the left. However, if you so choose, you absolutely could have this be a top open card. There you have it. So that's card number 1. We'll go ahead and put the dimensionals on the back of these other 2. And then we will be moving on to card design number 2. Take Your Pick tool is so handy. Hello, Melanie. Thank you so much for joining, especially when working with adhesives. Little dimensionals, moreover, little dimensional backs. Even the glue dot backs. Okay, so got stuck down, not where I wanted it to be. And the third and final version of the first card.
All good?
All good. We're cooking. All right, so there we have it. That is the first card of the kit. Put that off to the side, and moving on to card number 2, we will bring in 3 card bases. Go ahead and burnish them. Very pretty card. Little late in joining. Not a problem, Linda. That was the first card from the kit. I agree. I think all of the cards in this kit are very tasteful and classy. I'm a fan of them all. Card bases are a very nice, thick base, which adds to the elements, adds to the kind of beautiful simplicity of the cards. So now, for this card, I'm going to go ahead and put the card bases off to the side. We're using the vellum foliage. We're bringing in this piece with the soft seafoam with the laser cuts, and then we are doing birthday wishes. And this one gets some embellishments. I love it. So now we've brought around all of our pieces. We can go ahead and start layering. So we have glue dots to adhere the vellum on top of the laser cut. So let's go ahead and lay these out. Hi Suzanne, thank you so much for joining. All right, so we're going to put 2 glue dots on this piece. Very gingerly separate them so that we don't tear any of the little foliage off. Okay, flip it over, and then these bars here are just to help you align the pieces together. They will be covered up with the sentiment, but very helpful for assembly. All right, so go ahead, grab the dimensional backs off. Excuse me, glue dot backs off. Layer that one on, and then we are on 3 of 3. Okay. All right, once you have those aligned, we are putting the birthday wishes banner on top. That's also going to be adhered using glue dots. And then on the back of this whole conglomeration, we're going to put dimensionals. So let's get to it. Move those up, flip these over. Again, we've got 2 glue dots for the back. Now, if you have your own adhesive, you definitely can use your own. Liquid glue is kind of my adhesive of choice, so I typically would use that adhesive. But again, it is an all-encompassing kit, so everything you need is in the box. Now, that does not mean liquid glue is in the box. That just means that that's something that, because I have access to it, I would likely use on my own. All right, so when you are taking your sentiment, the box that we were using for centering all of these, that is smaller than your sentiment. So you don't need to worry too much about how you are sticking your sentiment down. Just make sure that none of that kind of sacrificial box is sticking out. All right, so we've got all of those on, then we will flip them over and add our dimensionals to the back. And then this whole shebang gets stuck to the front of the card pretty well, just centered left, right, and top to bottom. So we can bring our card base in and stick that accordingly. Again, just doing our best to make sure that it is centered. And level. That's another important element. And then we will come back with the embellishments. we are putting 3 embellishments on each of the cards. Now, those are under here, I think. Okay. So, it does not appear as though these are different sizes. In the instructions, they look like they could be different sizes, but the embellishments themselves actually look like they are all the same. All right, so you're going to put 1 on the bottom left and then 2 hovering in the upper right. And then we'll do the same on the other 2 cards. Ooh. Okay. So we are 2 designs in, which means we already have 6 cards made. 1 or 3 to go. Here is design number 2. Say bless you. Bless you again. All right, so let's move that off to the side. We have our 3rd design. This is the daisy design. Again, the first step, always the easiest. Go ahead and burnish your card base. Step number 2 is to bring in that textured rectangle, put dimensionals on it, and center it on your card. Again, I'm going to currently, just temporarily, skip step number 2. I'm going to layer up the pieces on this before I put it on the card, in case for whatever reason I make a mistake or want to change it. So then we are going to bring in these striped pieces. They the small little banners that have the petal pink stripes on it. Trying to determine here. I don't think it really matters, but there are 2 different designs. So we are putting dimensionals on the back of all of these. So 2 dimensionals on each of these pieces. We also are bringing in the cheers, and that is getting dimensionals on it as well. So it is time to put on a lot of dimensionals. All right, so that will be 6 dimensionals per card for these little banners. Now, unlike the first card, there's really nothing to anchor these pieces to, so you are just going to have to do your best to position them on the card mat. But there is a lot of kind of blank space, so if you don't put it exactly where it's intended to be, it's not going to necessarily quote-unquote ruin your card. So no pressure, it'll all work out fine. So the first card, let's go ahead and get the dimensional backs off. That one's being a little finicky. All right, We start with a petal pink striped banner. I'm actually going to start with the bottom one. Stick it on. Then we have the cheers. This one's going to be offset to the left a little bit. And it looks like they're only really putting about 1/8 of an inch between these flags. Then we have another striped petal pink layer. This one appears to be at least visually aligned with the bottom banner. So that is how we are going to position them. I'm just going to go ahead and do that for the other 2 card mats. All right, so gotta get all the dimensional backs out of the workspace. Okay, and then card number 3. All right, so then we bring in the daisies. Now, according to our instructions, the daisies receive 1 glue dot on the petal, on the leaf, and that is it. To me, I do not believe that is enough adhesive, so I am going to bring in my liquid glue. And you kind of need to be strategic about where you place the glue because it is going to just be hovering on these little banner pieces that we just put down. So we cannot get overbearing with our glue. So go ahead and if you're using glue, I would put glue on the bottom 2 petals, thinly down the stem, and then within the leaf. So that is what that looks like. So bottom 2 petals, very thin stroke down the stem, and then a little bit on the leaf. Go ahead, flip it over. This gets placed. I'm gonna put it down and then I'll annotate how or more like where I put it. So the most important part of the placement is that the stem is to the right of the word cheers. I just dropped that. Then the rest of it kind of just falls wherever it may be. But you've got a couple of those petals attached to this. You've got the adherent to the cheers. And then, of course, you've got the leaf and the stem here. The instructions just put a little glue dot right here. In my opinion, that is not enough to hold down this whole flower, especially because this whole part could flop forward and get bent or creased and not really give the card the integrity that it needs. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing with the other 2 daisies. I even put a little bit of glue on the petal that's going, pointing to the west. If you're kind of pretending it's on a cardinal direction. Okay, so flip that over. Again, make sure your flower stem is going just off of the cheers. And let that sit. So liquid glue takes a little bit to cure, not a whole lot, but you definitely want it to dry before you do anything else, which in this situation is going to be me flipping this whole mat over and dimensionalizing it to put on the card front. So I'm going to give it just a little bit of time to dry so that I'm not messing it up. This flower, I kind of really swooped over. It's a preference thing, however you would like it to look. Hello, Christine. Thank you so much for joining us. We are finishing up card 3 of 3. Now, while these are drying, I'm just going to go ahead and pick up the dimensional backs that are all over my workstation. Now, I will be putting a couple more down, but these little buggers need to find their way to the garbage. Okay, the first card that we did is likely dry or dry enough. So again, we're just going to be doing the 4 corners and then some along the middle, kind of offset a little bit. Go ahead, take the backs off. And then center it on your card front. So pretty. Go ahead, do it to the last 2 cards, and then we have completed the kit. All right. Got a nice thick mat here. I really like the thick border. For me, when a card is simple, it's all about the intentionality of the design elements, and these cards are designed very well for how quote-unquote simple they are. If you wanted, so now we've made it through the whole card kit, and there are a decent amount of dimensionals left. So the first and the last card have a full mat that is dimensionalized on the card base, excuse me. So I would honestly put more dimensionals on the back of this because now I know that we had enough. I'd go ahead and maybe put 3 additional or even 3 to 6 additional dimensionals on the back. Again, you just want your cards to have integrity. You don't want them to be put together in a manner that they don't have enough adhesive or don't have enough pieces to support it. And because this is a pretty large piece that we are supporting by dimensionals, I would absolutely go ahead and use a couple extra dimensionals just to make sure that there's enough support for your card. But we have made it to the end of our cards from the Loveliest Wishes card kit, which was released in April of 2025 through Stampin' Up. Here are the 9 cards in 3 different designs that we created. Now, do you have any favorites? I think my favorite is the first one we did, the square card that we kicked it off with. I do like them all. But I think just the gold elements of that, and I really like stippling, so that is a very nice touch as well.
Can you remind people I'll be live at 1 for the 2 of the MS benefit?
So, just a reminder, we are coming to the end of kit class, but if you are jonesing for some more creativity and inspiration today, you can join Chris at 1 p.m. Central Time. She will be coming on to walk through the MS benefit cards. The MS benefit was this past Saturday, and it was such a success. And the cards are incredible. So join us. It's 11 o'clock Central right now, so join us in just a couple of hours for some more card making and some more beautiful cards. So thank you. Have a great day, and sending sunshine, love, and big hugs your way.